Okay, I think we are live.
It's like mine's.
Yes. So you need to unmute your mic.
All right. Well, maybe I will.
Nope, not that one.
Not that
Over
one.
there. On the computer.
Oh, on my computer.
Hi, we'll just get started here. So all right, bear with us just a second. Right here. On mute.
There we go.
Actually, no. We need you muted. Because we're sharing this microphone. We're getting this started. All right. Well, hey, welcome. We know what we're doing, but welcome to our first live stream for Northland Friday night. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good today.
So I'm Robbie.
I am Jody.
And Michael, it says so right here.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we have decided to. What we got?
Hang on.
We decided to do a show, and so what we want to do is start building our content through all kinds of different platforms and all kinds of different things. So tonight is our very first one, and it's going to be the first one. So we'll get better from here. But today we decided that we wanted to discuss media and how we got it as a child, how we received it, what we did with it, and then how that changed just within our short lifetime. So that's the discussion today.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're producing and writing a scripted series, and so it's kind of funny how scripted series throughout the years have completely changed, right? As far as gone from, that's what we grew up with. In the 70s and 80s.
So, Rob, you're you're a kid in the 70s. It's did you watch cartoons or anything when you were in the middle of the week, or was it just for the weekends?
It was every day.
You had something to watch every single day?
Yeah. No,
it was
every day. It was after school. My first memory is probably Sesame Street.
Oh,
right. Sesame Street was big. And I'd eat some maple oatmeal and watch Sesame Street before going to kindergarten.
Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
Did you watch Sesame Street?
We had Sesame Street, but we also had the Electric Company.
Oh.
Hey, you guys!
Yes.
And I thought that was Goonies. You guys are a little bit, this was squeaky clean, a little bit older than me. I am an 80s baby, so I got the best. The 80s got the best cartoons, movies, toys, pop culture.
Watch them now.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually,
yeah, watch He-Man again.
Yeah, I was gonna say my best friend in college and I decided to watch a He-Man episode in our early 20s, and we were like, wow, that's really stupid. And my mom, I told my mom, and she's like,
the writing, the artwork, it's all.
Well, just be a great guy and give me back my sword. I mean, so I was like, oh, these shows are stupid. She's like, yeah, I know. So it's kind of mom's always
exactly.
Crap.
Gosh, there was a couple of movies. What was oh my gosh, it just popped in my head. But there was a movies with a mechanical owl, and it was like
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the Titans.
Clash of the
I mean,
Titans.
you were talking about cheese, like camp movies. That was like one of the big ones from
yeah.
childhood. I remember.
And what's funny is Star Wars came out before then,
Mm-hmm.
and they somehow reverbed it as far as graphics and whatnot. It's just they just weren't sharing technologies how to make movies. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, so my father, back when he was young in Alabama, he and his brother would go to the movie theater for the day to beat the heat, right? And so they would go for a penny, maybe 5 cents, something like that, to go to the movies. And one of their biggest movies that they loved to watch, they remembered, was The Ten Commandments. And they sat through that movie twice one day because they just wanted to watch it because it was just so huge. And it is. It's a huge movie.
They check for bed sores afterwards?
Yeah, they're just two little boys seeing
Twice.
films, watching 10 Commandments.
Yeah, so some of the other movies that are, so like cartoons. Cartoons was Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
And the Flintstones. So, and Michael reminded me something about the Flintstones the other night.
Mhm.
And Hanna-Barbera.
Yeah.
Well, the Flintstones were a lot darker than you would think, and how they were the first primetime cartoon. So 7, 8 o'clock at night, which really means they were for adults when they were first came out in the 60s.
Gotcha.
But then 70s, early 80s, by the time we're watching them as kids, they're now kids cartoons.
Right.
But if you go back and watch them, there's some darkness going on. The animal abuse. Which I mean, they're just abusing animals.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right?
There's
The
this
opening scene, all right.
yeah, there's a scene where they adopting Bam Bam falls through, and Barney's going to throw himself off a bridge.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, very child appropriate.
Right. Well, same with Looney Tunes. The amount of the cartoon violence and the sexuality of like the seduction or
Right,
the squirrel who's the rapey squirrel, right?
No, is a skunk.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, Pepe
The
Le
skunk.
The skunk.
And that poor cat.
And the poor cat.
First of all, gets a stripe painted on her in a construction zone, and then just gets mistaken the whole way.
Yeah.
I got another horrible one about Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny. It was, I'm not sure if it was a compilation of Looney Tunes or a compilation of Bugs Bunny, but it was like 50 years worth. And originally, one of the episodes they had on it was a World War II one. And the title was Bugs Bunny Nips the Nips.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And besides the other things going on, it kind of ends with him handing them all, the Japanese citizens, ice cream cones with atom bombs in them. And of course, he's saying, "Here you go, Saint Ice. Here you go, this guy." Just all these slurs.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Oh,
yeah,
light
right
came
up.
off. I don't know what happened. Yay!
Yeah,
They re-released the compilation without that one after noticing some feedback.
That's they have it now. If you're watching, say, Disney Plus or what that, they have now more specific, not necessarily warnings, but just labels of what the movie is. So it doesn't just, instead of just saying a violence language, it could be it's more specified. So it could be like suicidal, things or teenage issues. But they kind of just help the viewer, get to pick, like at least gives a bit more information for you to be able to pick if this is something that you're into.
Right. No, exactly.
Or some things that might bother you that you weren't expecting.
Yeah. So a movie that pops in my head is Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah.
Right. And so it was the 30th anniversary or 40th anniversary here last year, I think it was. And so they showed it in the local theater, the Bear's Tooth. We have a local theater called the Bear's Tooth where
it's the best.
It's cool. You get tables and beer service, and
the food's
one
phenomenal.
Of the local breweries owns it.
It's awesome.
You want to talk about product placement? Go ahead.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But with Smokey and the Bandit, you could not sell a Trans Am with T-tops in South Texas. You could not.
And why?
Because you'd be roasted to death. The glass would be like a magnifier.
Oh!
And the sun would just kill you. Until that movie. Then that was the hot muscle car to have after that. People just suffered. I'll take the melanoma. I'll be fine.
How funny.
Yeah.
So I was watching it, and there was some pretty crass humor in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of the things that really surprised me was there was one scene that was just blatantly racist.
The sheriff.
The sheriff.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was like, and that when you're watching that as a kid, you're the jump over the bridge and all that.
Yeah.
That stuff escapes you.
Mm-hmm.
But the sheriff, I'm just like, wow, that was just blatantly
Right.
racist.
Was there a reason or an intent for that character to be that way, or was it just was?
It was Jackie Gleason's character, and I'm sure it was kind of a maybe a homage like the All in the Family.
So they thought it was funny, but it ended up not being.
Yeah.
Time certainly didn't keep up with it.
Right.
But because I grew up in Texas, and Buford T. Justice is from Texas. I'm thinking it's like they're tying the racism in there to make it normalized, but still growing up there, I didn't get it either. I was like,
Right.
what's the point? Our constable's black. No one cares.
Right. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that just surprised me too, because seeing it that many years later and seeing
Mm-hmm.
it now, it's like, holy moly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I remember noticing and not understanding it then as a child.
Yeah.
And not really getting a good
exactly.
explanation either.
So and that brings up something. When you were a kid, so what kind of restrictions did you guys have as a kid, as far as what you could watch?
Yeah.
I was pretty open. My parents were pretty open as far as what I could watch. They let me decide.
Mm-hmm.
And so
How much TV were you allowed as a child?
I had a TV in my room.
Oh wow!
At what age?
So that's one of the things that I remember watching Johnny Carson as early as I can remember watching Johnny Carson, watching his monologue at night at least. And I was talking to a friend the other day, Mark, one of our cast members for the show. He was saying, yeah, he did the same thing. He'd watch Johnny Carson, and then afterwards it was Letterman, and before Letterman it was somebody else, and then Bob Costas came on. Bob Costas?
I don't know Bob Costas.
You don't know Bob Costas?
I don't know Bob Costas.
Oh my
Sports guy?
6 years.
No, he's
Sure, he's been around. He does the Olympics almost every year. Bob Costas does the Olympics.
NBC.
He watches the Olympics. All right.
Late night TV.
Some things I
Do Bears?
don't know.
Oh.
Late night
Wait,
TV.
So back to that. So restrictions. What
Right.
kind of restrictions did you have?
So I was raised Mormon and military. So I had
Hey, farts.
a lot of structure around me. I was not allowed to be a lot more than I was.
Right.
So my mother, who is a lot more comfortable now than she was back then, we were not allowed to watch any Looney Tunes because of the cross-dressing and the violence and whatnot. We were not allowed to watch The Simpsons, even though we kind of did. And yeah, she was like, I couldn't read Stephen King, but I could read Edgar Allan Poe. So I ended up reading a lot of classic horror literature, which was just fine with me, Jack the Ripper, Victorian life, things like that. So by denying me passage of these really simple childhood things, I went elsewhere and sought my entertainment. So yeah, we were pretty strict, but I had there was no problem of waking ourselves up in the morning on Saturdays to get the cereal and the Cartoon Network train. And then after school, it was like backpacks are down. I'm watching my MMC or Kids Incorporated or cartoons and after school. So I think the biggest restrictions, and then no rated R movies, of course. So the biggest restriction I think was that there was no Looney Tunes, no Simpsons, nothing with nothing body, very PG or Disney. So that was mine.
Yeah, Michael.
Well, we had cable, but it wasn't, of course, not like cable today. I'd say at best, we had 60 channels.
Okay.
But the thing is, as far as restrictions, it wasn't really my choice what we were watching if we were all home.
You never really got to control the TV.
Yeah, it's, mom and dad worked all day, so they're watching what they're going to watch, and I'm going to enjoy it with them, or I'm going to be outside.
Right.
And then if they weren't watching TV and I finally got control, we pretty much whatever was on cable, because it was still, sort of broadcast TV. So it wasn't going to be anything, HBO After Dark or whatever.
Right.
And because by the time that sort of stuff came on TV, it's past my bedtime anyway.
It was almost like soaps or game shows.
Well, no, we had the regular weeknight dramedy or comedy drama TV shows,
right.
Some family shows, Growing Pains, this and that. But mom would, I think mom would watch them as dad would sit through it because he had nothing else to do. But shows like Dallas or Dynasty, your evening soap operas, and I was never interested. And back to the late night TV, Johnny Carson, Letterman. I was never interested. It was never interested in me until Arsenio Hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was me growing up more. Just Letterman wasn't funny to me. Johnny Carson wasn't funny to me. Their guests, whatever they were talking about, wasn't interesting. There's only so many times I'm going to sit through that before next.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, when my parents watched Johnny Carson, I remember for some reason I wasn't really that smart. I had him more cute. Like I was a really sweet, cute girl, but not too smart. But I was in love with the movie Short Circuit, and there was a song from the movie Short Circuit called "Here's Johnny," she said, and smiled. Right, so it's that
Yeah.
one. Here's Johnny, and so every single night I would take it to my parents' room to listen to. Here's Johnny, and I wanted them to say it's Johnny, and they never did. It was stupid Johnny Carson. I was so mad every single time because I was just waiting.
But you really ticked me at the day off. It was Jay Leno's turn. You didn't even get your "Here's Johnny." You got your "Here's Jay."
Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were our restrictions, and it's certainly like compared to the restrictions that we have for my son, right? Okay.
Yep.
So we have an 11-year-old, and we taught him pretty early on that he needs to be self-aware of what he's intaking.
How to use the remote control.
Yes, how to use it. So when he was a baby, it was still television. We had Disney Junior on, and we watched, Jacob the Neverland Pirates, Sophia the First, Dr. Stuffin.
Daniel Tiger.
Oh yeah, Daniel Tiger. So PBS kids. So he, as a child and infant, grew up on the cartoons that we kind of did as well. PBS or Disney Junior. And then about 2014 or so, YouTube started coming more and more and more as a platform.
Right.
And so I remember we're sleeping and Benji's on the phone and we're hearing all those weird like 5-finger family song. Mommy finger, where are you? Here I am.
Oh,
How do you do? And he'd watch this weird animation, weird stuff. But that was kind of the beginning of YouTube. And so we just kind of taught him, you need to know when you're not feeling comfortable with something. You need to know how to reach your body and listening to things that you don't have. So we gave him a lot of agency with watching it with us. And so Dad?
No, low. He's a little bit too low on the live stream.
Oh, okay. Thanks. That's my kid. See, he's running tech.
Yep, he's running tech for us.
Running
Right
tech
there.
for us.
So you can turn your volume up on the mic just a little bit. Probably on the back, the gain on the back.
The words the same here in real life are on the live stream and they're dead. So it's basically in a different time.
Understood. So like a bit of a delay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I got it. I'm just trying to see which one's which.
There we go. That should do it right there.
Okay.
right. It's cool when, we've got this technology that, we can all be in different places
Yeah.
streaming together, but we're all sitting right here. In our individual camp.
Yeah. So YouTube changed the way that children consumed information.
YouTube has changed the way
news.
all of us
All of
have
us.
considered and
And that wasn't
observed
that
the
long
world.
ago. I mean, it was, a while ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
Just this thing about instructions. Say, like, if you're trying to work on your car, where you have to replace the solenoid or something like that, instead of just reading in the Chilton manual how to find and replace a solenoid and just read it word for word, there's a video showing you, and it's pretty darn easy to find.
Oh yeah. No, exactly. YouTube has changed everything. So, but going back to being a kid, and so some of the series that I watched growing up, like I remember A-Team and Knight Rider were two of my favorites. Those were 80s shows.
Yeah.
Those were big time 80s shows. But then when was it? Was it early 2000s that it seemed like scripted shows went away.
Right.
And it was more.
I know the first Survivor was
Survivor
2000.
was one of the first ones. But then you had
Real World.
I was going to say
Real
Real
World.
World is really where NTV started doing the Real World.
Well, and that was so, and that brings up something else that MTV is. We moved when I was like in 6th grade. We moved from our little town we lived in. It was about 25,000 people. We moved out to the west side. We moved to the west side. But they didn't have cable where we were. So we actually had somebody record MTV on a VHS and gave us the VHS to watch. So we could watch MTV. And in fact, it was the Thriller video.
Oh,
Michael Jackson's Thriller video.
Huge.
So it was on that
You had
VHS.
it on the
Like
tape.
the debut of the Thriller video was on that VHS.
That's really amazing.
Oh yeah. No. So and I remember my mom especially. Well, me too, but but I think the real world was when MTV took that step from being a music television to being this other
Spring Break '96 reruns.
Yeah, definitely. So it's like they started with the music videos. You have like video kills the radio star, and I want my MTVs and all these ones. And then it gets to be about like early '90s, still more that grunge reality or real world, and then as we get into the middle of the '94 is when we start having that crossover. It wasn't Jenny McCarthy, was it?
It was she
blonde, fun summer girls in bikinis
but she was just like a game show talent. She wasn't anything else but just fun to look at. Because she wasn't like a VJ or
right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
then there was more than just her.
Right, but it's been so while ago, but
there's that one dude. One dude.
Yeah, one dude.
That one dude.
Yeah, one dude. Yeah, no, he's a pain. But the game shows they did for a while were okay, but then it just became reruns, and soon enough, it didn't take long before that was all MTV was showing.
Right,
rerun these game shows.
The game, yes, the game shows.
And never stopped.
Never stopped. Yeah.
I don't even know what MTV does now. I haven't turned it on in years.
And that's that's where we are now. And so
they started another channel, M2, which is supposed to be going back to the roots, just showing music videos. They started showing Spring Break '93.
It was MTV. What was the competitors? Was it
VH1?
VH1.
Pop-up video.
Pop-up videos. I love pop-up videos.
A lot of worthless information to just get and store for life, and just
I
spew that out as a nugget of knowledge when you're at the bar talking with your buddies.
How about, did you guys, so when South Park came out?
Yes.
Oh my God,
what
South
did
Park.
that do? Because I was going to say, those are my early college years.
7:30 on Wednesday nights were sacred in my house.
Right.
As in the South Park episode.
So South Park in the Simpsons, especially during the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
the Simpsons, and in fact, the Simpsons. We had a ritual 15 minutes before the Simpsons. We had a ritual.
A habitual ritual. Okay.
Habitual ritual.
I'm like thinking, I was 10. What did we do?
Yeah, no.
I got right. So I was the younger years in college. So I was hanging out with the older kids, and we would go over to Rick's house because he was the one who had the cable and everything, and we would record South Park episodes. So then we would build our tape, right? So you have this one, then you stop, and then you film or record the next one. And so I had 4 or 5 episodes, like the origin episode, the first 4 episodes. And I took it over to my new boyfriend's house, and his younger brothers were freaking out. And I was like, "You have South Park!" And it was it was on my tape, you got the tape, man. And then we'd watch the tape over and over and over and over and over.
Well, South Park was like next level for the Simpsons. Right?
Yeah, it was.
South Park was.
It went there with
edgy.
jokes.
Yeah, exactly. It upped the edge quite a lot.
There wasn't a Rubicon they wouldn't have crossed.
No, they were not afraid of tearing anything down just for the sake of doing it.
And making fun of themselves as they go along with it. It was just, and then just there was nothing was sacred, nothing was off the list.
Nope. Right.
No,
exactly. No, and that's that's kind of what down or too low.
On the live stream, you're a bit too low.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Well, not too low, just a bit low.
Okay. Well, we're gonna turn it up. Do you want to?
Come on,
Talk in here and say hi?
If you walk over here real quick.
Yeah. Come on in. Everybody say hi.
Let's do over.
I'll turn this mic up just a little bit while
There you go.
it's saying hi there. All right, there we go.
Benjamin, the camera's above.
Yeah, right up there.
So Benji, what did you watch when you were a little kid for TV?
I don't remember.
You
How
don't
do you not
remember?
remember? You were there.
Well, like Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, makes you
Especially,
like
you know, so.
yeah. When did you watch SpongeBob?
That might have been. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Probably 7. Power Rangers.
Power Rangers. So yeah. So what's one cool thing about streaming? Is that we get to bring a lot of old stuff back and either rewatch it
exactly.
or share it. And sometimes it's pretty cool how we'll watch an old movie and then all of a sudden somebody's smoking in it, and Benji's like, "Oh, they're smoking!" You know, it's just not what you see anymore on television.
Right,
We don't
exactly.
smoke on TV, or rarely in movies. But I do love the fact that I can share like the Powerpuff Girls and a bunch of old cartoons with Smurfs and stuff.
Mhm.
And so I do enjoy a lot about streaming, as long as as long as the actors are getting their residuals and their dues for their work. That's all I care about.
Exactly.
But I do love that streaming has brought. There was a time right as streaming was happening where you still had to pay for the broadband or something like that. And I remember having the DVD and the Blu-ray right there in the room. Yet I just hit the stream button.
Mhm.
I couldn't even be bothered walking over, getting the tape
Right.
or the DVD out, putting it in this DVD player.
Well, no, exactly.
And everyone gets so mad at me, like, "You own this. Why are you streaming?" I don't know.
Well, this is also before unlimited internet would
Yeah.
get throttled after so long.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. No, there was definitely that, and it wasn't. It really.
Hi, everyone.
So it took a while to get to the point where cutting the cord, cutting that cable cord made sense because I'd had cable a long time. In fact, when I was dating my wife, I didn't have cable at my house.
Okay.
And she did, so I like cable.
Because she's a pretty girl.
Yeah.
You can go to her house and see her
Exactly.
stuff.
I watch cable.
Does that sound familiar?
Well, I know one of the truest lines in the movie Fight Club was, I didn't even miss TV after the first month. And try it. You won't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we decided, we got rid of cable and went to unlimited internet. Still got, the one of the packages from the streaming services.
Right.
And, sports has been a big part of my life. So watching sports on TV has been a big part of it.
So instead of
we
going to a
definitely
channel,
gotta
you're going
you
to a
gotta keep
platform.
that. Right. No, exactly. You got a platform now. And now I'm in front of a computer instead of in front of the TV. When I'm in, partaking in that entertainment.
Possibility to be a little more interactive, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, exactly. And that's what, live streaming is. I mean, that's where we're going to is being a lot more interactive.
Well, I was seeing the other day about how, the people dragging their tail and, they don't want to buy in and get on board. For a lot of things, it seems like you had better because the world's going to leave you behind if you don't.
Right.
Just think of photography. I really enjoyed, taking photos onto film, onto exposures, having those processed and looking at what I was trying to do, what I was hoping for, and what I got out. And there's a bit more reward out of that, which is why I was always didn't want to go to digital because just click, don't like it, delete. Click,
right.
Don't like it, delete.
It's
that instant gratification.
Yeah.
You have,
and it held me back, and even the technology at the time too. There's only like however many pixels. This is no good, versus my own camera, gets all these brilliant. Just wait, it's gonna come. But Yeah, I don't even know where you could go buy film today.
Right.
Right.
Well,
No,
it's like an
exactly.
automatic
Automation?
driving versus a manual.
Oh yeah.
And again, that sense of you're taking away that connection between you and the activity. And yeah, if you make it trashable or just wastable, it doesn't add that element of
Right.
more to it.
Right. It's all this technology is amazing. I looked it up today just because I knew this conversation. We were going to talk about all this. So I looked it up today that first radio broadcast was in 1920. So just over 100 years ago, the first scheduled broadcast of radio
Hello, this is
was
Tommy
from Pittsburgh.
All the ships at sea.
It was in Pittsburgh, no less. But it was the first, scheduled broadcast from a radio station or whatever. It was in 1920. So you think about all the
Was it just dead air before the broadcaster came on?
I don't know. I didn't read that far into it.
Right. I'm just
But you think about I mean, that's been 100 years, but the thousands of years prior to that,
silence.
what
Right.
there's always been entertainment, right? There's always been whether it was court jesters or whether it was storytellers or in the bar or
The beheadings
on print or public beheadings. Yeah.
Yeah. There was I went to a conference that was about a gentleman, and it was about acapella, the history of acapella singing, and he talked about how before 1920, before we had radio and recordings of songs that we played, this was like before we had gramophone before that. So before we had recorded singing, people were more inclined to always be singing. It was a human thing that we did. So around campfires, working in the fields, working anywhere, you had songs. We sang, and it wasn't until people started listening to recorded voices that they started judging each other and going, "Oh, well, if I can't sound like that, I'm not going to sing." And it really killed a lot of
Singing
in general. Yeah, and this idea that we have to have this level before we can achieve something, and that's not really healthy. First, you should just be able to sing whatever comes out. But it's an example again of how it was like this was the way it was since the dawn of time. Saying you're a human, and then it wasn't until we got this way of saving that information and sharing that information that people started kind of comparing themselves to that information.
Right. Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Suppose you've been told you shouldn't sing. As in, like, no, you shouldn't sing.
I still think you should.
Well,
I like hearing people happy because you don't sing when you're sad.
No. Well, you'd sing. You never heard of the blues?
I guess hard times. You sing no matter what. So there you go. You sing no matter what. So you don't need to be told that you're crap. And if you are crap, then just deal with the fact. I don't know.
So just the steps that we've taken in 100 years to go from a radio broadcast to the first television in the 50s.
Lucille Ball promoting television,
right?
Being its advocate,
Right.
And then
to instantaneous communication.
Yeah.
To anybody in the world being able to watch us sit here and
yeah. It is crazy. It really is.
Yeah.
It's.
I remember in math class, a teacher said that you're not going to carry a calculator with you, everywhere you go.
Guess what? Yes, we do.
Yes.
I did not see that coming.
It's great though, yeah. The how quickly iPhones have happened, and it was 2006. I went to New York City for a marketing conference, and they were telling us at that conference that in just a few years we'll be able to see advertisements on our phone. And I was like, how is that even possible? An advertisement on my phone? And I was telling my Nokia, boop, 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 for texting, and it was the iPhone, and it wasn't that. Just again, that the fact that you have a little computer in your hand changes everything. And so quickly, and then it changes again and again until you get like the iPhone 16 Pro and you don't even know what the words are. I could go to like an AT&T shop and I'm like, I don't speak your language. It's way overwhelming.
I have this. It doesn't work. I need one that
I
works.
need help. No, they make the box simple, but they don't make the technology or the words behind it simple.
It always cracks me up how the iPhone does not come whatsoever with an instruction book.
No, it doesn't.
Now, basically, it's got one button. So
Hello.
play with it and
Okay.
you figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
Because you got one button to choose from.
What did you get your first cell phone?
I'm sorry, who was president when you first got a cell phone?
Oh,
Clinton.
W?
it would have been
Clinton.
Clinton.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's what I was thinking. It would have been
Mhm.
Clinton. Would have been
My mommy got her
In
phone.
the-
in Clinton years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
mine at first one in '99, and I was kind of a little late to the party on that one.
right. So yeah, the flip phones. So we first had a.
I was
flip
awesome
phone,
at
and
Snake.
You had
You had some games on it.
well, yeah, and then the text.
Was
You
that
know,
pound for the third letter?
yeah, like the third letter, and then you get really
Your
quick
thumbs
at
are
it.
really strong.
I was really good at Snake.
Well, and that's the thing. Is like, so here's the question: if technology moves so fast that it's almost impossible to keep up, do you? Right?
Right.
Do you? Because if you don't, you're left behind. If you don't have an email, you're left behind. Now, if you don't have a smartphone, you're left behind. At least left behind with the main group of whatever they're doing. You can still survive on your own without all this stuff.
So there's these things that are like horizon events or discoveries, right? Like the silicon chip or these things that
Pedestal.
that yeah that when humanity takes giant leaps of technology, and so what is that next? What
Right.
is the next horizon event or the horizon discovery? That, right? No, I mean,
Close your eyes.
and I was maybe it's maybe 1920 was when the first aliens came, right? So that's
Yeah,
why
we
we
got aliens now.
that's why we got radio, and that's why things have gotten so like I said, thousands of years before.
Yeah, thousands of years to 100 years. Right.
Doing 100 years worth from radio to here.
Yeah.
It's got to be alien.
Gotta
That's what
be
I'm
aliens.
thinking.
Well, we still have, and let's not assume that every event horizon's going to be positive for us.
Well, yeah, no.
Are they ever?
They give well, sure.
Oh, they can't. Yeah, they
I mean, with the dramatic
Yeah,
change in mobile phones, I mean, that was for the better. You wouldn't want to go back to your flip phone
Well,
or your dial phone
or the Motorola Razor,
your
Kinda
rotary
do.
your
You're-
rotary
you're
phone
right.
on the kitchen wall.
if I don't, I want both of them now. But if I can't, you're right. I want.
You're not going to use the rotary phone.
So when
But the
like,
thing
how many
about this,
people did you guys get in trouble for being on the phone at like midnight?
Oh,
and your
yeah.
parents let you
oh, there
pass
wasn't
the
anyone that'd be
phone?
calling at midnight.
I'm sorry, I dated people, so yeah, I got in trouble.
Well, even if I had a
You on the phone?
even if I had a girlfriend, she wasn't up at midnight either.
No.
So
We talked. Yeah, me and my honey buddy, we talked a lot at nighttime.
Right?
yeah.
I
A few
yeah.
times I got in trouble for being
Or
on
like
the
calling
phone.
long distance or something like that.
Oh, long.
Long distance! We don't have that
I mean,
anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Calling another state or something like that, not a problem.
So, I don't even like when I call my wife. A lot of times I don't even use the phone anymore. We talk on Facebook Messenger.
Oh.
A lot of times that's how we
Interesting.
communicate is Facebook Messenger, or I'll pick up because it's over the internet. So
A friend of mine who lives in a village a couple hours outside Anchorage said that's what they use for their long distance phone.
Because it's stronger.
right,
And the phone service is crap or super expensive.
Right.
So it's just do an internet connection and
yeah,
you talk to anyone on the inside of the world. When Mark was in Italy, he called me on Messenger.
Wow.
You know, just
Well, so those are
skip
good things
those
that are
holes.
trying to happen.
Yeah.
That
well, and there's there is a lot of projects that are coming out to beef up the internet in villages.
Right.
in some of the
Right.
rural areas. There's a whole lot of investment going on. So you can.
They're actually required by law to.
Yeah. No,
Well,
you-
it
they'll
would
have
make
much
sense.
better- They'll have much better internet.
Yeah.
And actually, this was a lot of people credited Obama with the Obama phones. It's actually the Woodrow Wilson phones. He was the one who signed into law about rural communication service and whatnot into rural areas. They have to make it equal to the services they offer to urban areas.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, because the people like way out in the sticks, they weren't getting the same kind of phone service that city folk were getting, and it wasn't really their fault though. It was AT&T's fault for not putting the equipment out there to get to them.
Absolutely.
Oh.
Sorry. Child.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you look at it too, and one of the things nowadays is crinkle it wrapper.
Crinkle it.
Crinkle.
Don't forget about me shaking as you didn't realize it on camera.
These internet companies that are in bigger things. Funny that the large ones don't seem to like get in the way of the other large ones.
Because
in
they're all owned by
different
the same
cities.
person.
Well, it's just, I mean, they want competition supposedly, but yet they don't want to compete with each other.
Right.
For some reason, I don't know what that would be. Maybe they can artificially hold the pricing higher. Than,
I don't know how we all afford what we have to afford right now. That's my big thing. Is I don't enjoy the fact that I'm almost trapped into this lifestyle that doesn't really fit who I am. And I have to keep up with these phones because if I don't keep up with the phone, the platform that I use will become obsolete, or my programs will be able to use. So you have to keep up.
Right.
And yes, they have these beautiful systems of like, just it's a percentage of the phone. It's okay. Why does it have to be so expensive? I mean, I know that it's this thing, but it's just unfeasible for so many of us. We struggle to have extra jobs to pay for a phone. When that was like, you had cable that was what, $10, $20 a month or something?
Oh, right.
Cable was, I mean,
Well, and
it
kept getting more and more.
They kept getting more and
expensive, more and more expensive. Now, I mean, I don't know. Internet. I mean, we do have some competition here, a little bit, between the folks. But I know a lot of places, even big cities, where there is no competition.
That's not cool.
And
It's
you've got one carrier, and that's all you have. And the
they-
carriers, they have. It seems like they have this agreement where I'm not going to get in your backyard. And
Yeah,
you don't get in my
absolutely.
backyard.
Yeah,
And
I
so-
absolutely
and then-
believe they're all working with each other for the betterment of themselves,
Right.
screwing the little man below.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
It was so up here we get what's called a PFD, permanent fund dividend, and every year. And when I was a kid, I would get $100 of the permanent fund to spend, and then the rest of it would go in my college fund.
Right.
And because my parents were awesome like that, I was like, "Oh, my money." And I remember one year Walmart had a sale for a little box television and a VCR built into it for $99.
Oh,
And so I finally got my first box television. It was just the cutest little size with the VCR and everything like that. And again, it was just things like that. Like I couldn't afford something like that now. Again, it's all on. When is it going to end at that price cap of how much?
TVs. I mean, TVs are so cheap right now. I mean, you go into Best Buy or Walmart or Costco, and they're
It's like our TV's dying out now.
60-inch TVs for $200.
Man.
I mean, it's crazy how cheap they are. But I mean, you're right that it seems like they're
Are they dying, basically?
right?
Because what they have now is you can have a blank wall with a projector and you stream from there from a projection.
Right.
So you have all these, like, or your laptop or whatever. You have
Or a computer
workarounds.
monitor, or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, that's
A lot of people watch movies on their phone or on their laptops. So
Right.
yeah, the things that are like, I think movie theaters are slowly dying out, unfortunately, but they'll have their resurgence. And possibly
Yeah,
television.
I mean, and that's another thing that we've seen is the some streaming movies.
Mhm.
Like how many movies that, and it seems like they're going back now to trying to get people back to the theater.
They are, yeah.
Where before they were, a lot of these movies were going, released in the theater and on streaming.
Right.
And so, there's some people that really want that experience, really want that theater experience on the big screen, and then there's some people that'll they want the content, and so they're
Well, and then there's
sit at home.
then there's the people much more well off than I am that have gone and made their home theater system, so they get that movie experience at their home.
At their
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's still on my bucket list, but I've always wanted a home movie theater exactly like that. The idea of like the big curtains. Because when you go to a movie theater, at least especially like when I was little, and even now, I think there's sacred places. My first job was in a movie theater. But you have those huge curtains,
Mhm.
that are paneling this giant screen. And we used to have a theater here called the Firing Theater. And that was one of Alaska's biggest theater. They had 1,000-seat theater in that one.
Oh, it was huge.
If they
The
premiered Sound of Music.
The middle theater. At
1,000!
Firing.
Oh, and then they closed several years ago. But right before they closed, New Moon from Twilight, the series, New Moon came out, and Michael took me to that, and it was like nobody was in there. And so I'm in a 1,000-person theater watching New Moon with Michael, and I'm like so loving it. But so yeah, for me, movie theaters just have this really extreme reverence that I love. But then they started showing commercials. You guys remember they started showing commercials at the theater?
Right, yeah.
I'm so mad.
So it used to be trailers.
Yep.
Right, you would get, and it just, that's one of the things that bugs me is how many trailers you have to sit through.
Oh, sure. Or how many commercials are for you too. Yeah.
Minutes, 50 minutes now of trailers.
Yeah.
and
Oh, you're absolutely right.
commercials
Yeah.
and
It's almost like half an hour of that.
trailers.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think that I'm not sure exactly where it's going to be, and I feel so when the pandemic hit for theater at least, and the way we consumed things and the way we watched, and the way we made things, it definitely took a turn in the pipe.
Yeah, it did. Yeah,
big turn.
absolutely.
So I feel like what we're going to have now is like we're definitely out of the age of the movie stars. Like there will no longer be 10 known people that are the movie stars because there'll be too many people. So you'll have 1,001 movie stars or celebrities or people, but 1 million people follow this one and 1 billion people follow this one. So it's going to be too spread out to ever be those high towers of like Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
I really hope the age of influencers dies off soon.
Yeah,
I could deal without about 90% of those. Probably 98%.
I don't think that's going to happen, though. I think
It's hard to hear.
I think because I mean that's where content is right now. I mean,
sure,
that's
but I hate giving celebrity status to them.
Well, right.
It's like, what does Joe Johnson have to say about this? Who cares what he has to say about this? I don't care if he, the spokesperson for Maybelline.
But you may have 35 million people who do care, right? And it's so wide.
No, and that's, I mean,
if they really care about what he has to say, they can go search out what he has to say. You don't have to force feed it down the rest of our throats.
They paid to do that, though. That's called advertisement.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of, that's YouTube and, the streaming services like that. That's, you have to seek that content out. And the algorithm is built around what you like. It feeds you what you search for. I mean, as you watch,
it's what it assumes you search for.
Right.
And just keep in mind the puppet strings or the control behind it. There might be a reason, Joe Johnson's being told how he feels on a subject is because he's been told how he feels on a subject.
thinking about influencers, taking away that word, we've had this since the dawn of time again. Somebody who's like, well, I think this. We've always had somebody who has an opinion or who has a following, or because they have a great cadence of how they speak or what they say. That's always kind of been. So this idea that this is a new job or a new thing, it's not new. If you think it's new, then you're really young because you don't know that you have your or not your court jester, but you have your advisors, right? Or all those things. What do? They influence the king. So I think these spokespeople and stuff like that, yeah, take them all with a grain of salt because it's just another opinion in a sense.
No, right. And that's, that's a lot of what people are watching though. I mean, the rise of Twitch and gaming streams.
You're like, what's Twitch, right?
Yeah.
You're like, what's Twitch?
You're mispronouncing Twitter. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's a gaming platform.
The rise of informational content. Like, the thing that we're doing, this series that we're doing, back to our thing is, it's a scripted comedy series. And so, hopefully there's still a market for that.
There will be. We gotta get it out though, but we gotta do it now. That's the thing. We can't sit and wait 2-3 years, it'll be gone.
But there is still a market for it. And I think people are people are wanting more content like that, I would think. And so, that kind of storytelling, right? That it just seems like we're getting less and less of that.
Right. It's like one person telling you these information like that, and then it's nice to see a show that has you just watch it and get your own information out of it. But there's a whole mixed bag of what they're saying and why they're saying it and stuff. You get to watch it like from above rather than from below inside of it. Yeah. So I think our show will get a lot of that.
I think so too. I'm looking forward to it. Mike, are you looking forward to it?
No, I'm just gonna take a nap. No, I'll look forward to it. It'll be fun.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
I
think that's a good spot to leave it for now.
So.
And we'll come back next week.
Yeah, next Friday, new topic, new outfits. Same us.
Yeah, exactly. So, I didn't. Show you a couple things I did today, though. I see that we are coming live from the Rethink Home studio. Right
Whoa!
now.
Cool.
See if we can. See, we got the logo right there.
Nice. We're almost at the wrap up.
Yeah, that's what I want to be.
Okay.
Oh, and
Come on.
Ben's got to come in for the finale and say goodbye.
Did you know urine is sterile? You can drink it.
Oh! Goodbye, everybody.
They always trust me for bad advice.
See you later. Keep an eye out. Like and subscribe, and keep an eye out for more content. We got some other ideas and stuff we're going to be posting soon. So thanks, everybody.
And don't play leapfrog with unicorns.
That could end up bad.
Yeah.